Assalamu alaikum. I'm Dr. Naima Rasool. I'm consultant pediatric surgeon FRPMC. Topic of today's lecture is surgical approach to congenital heart diseases. The learning objectives of this lectures: you should be able to describe the common congenital heart diseases, and you should be able to outline the therapeutic plan for common congenital heart problems. Congenital heart defect in children can be divided into two categories on the basis of cyanosis. As you all know that cyanosis is blue discoloration of mucous membrane and skin, and it happens due to decreased arterial oxygenation saturation. If there is normal arterial oxygen saturation in the blood, baby would be or child would be acyanotic, and if the arterial oxygen saturation is decreased, the cyanosis will appear in the peripheral part of the baby. Acyanotic heart diseases are more common, and the more common among them are arterial septal defect, atrial septal defect, ventricular septal defect, patent ductus arteriosus, and coarctation of aorta. On the other hand, cyanotic heart diseases comprises almost of 15% of total congenital heart defects, and the commonest one among them is tetralogy of Fallot, transposition of great vessels, hypoplastic right or left heart, tricuspid atresia, and truncus arteriosus. The goal of treatment is improvement in the patient condition by improving the cyanosis, and cyanosis would improve if the oxygen saturation in the blood of the patient is increased. The main aim of the treatment is providing the symptoms relief. The symptoms of the congenital heart disease are shortness of breath and early tiredness, exercise intolerance, and this breathing problem and early tiredness would decrease the oral intake, which hampers the child growth. So permitting the child growth and exercise tolerance are the aim of the treatment. The first defect is atrial septal defect. To understand the atrial septal defect, you have to recall the embryology. There is a septum between the two atrias, and in this septum there is a foramen, which is called foramen ovale. It closes spontaneously on birth, but if some part of the foramen ovale remains patent, it is called atrial septal defect. And what happens? There would be left to right shunt of the blood, which would increase the blood flow into the right atrium back to the lungs, leading to pulmonary hypertension, and eventually right heart failure may occur. Most of the kids with atrial septal defects are asymptomatic, but sometimes the cardiologist or treating physician is able to auscultate heart murmur in kids for some other problems like fever or chest infection. The first investigation which is usually done is chest X-ray, and in chest X-ray the cardiac hypertrophy or cardiac shadow is enlarged due to right atrium and right ventricular enlargement. Echocardiography would give the perfect configuration of septal defect. Treatment of atrial septal defect: 80% of the patient up to the age of 18 months, this defect is closed spontaneously. But if it doesn't, we have to close it with transcatheter device. And in very few of the patients, very rarely, we have to do surgical closure. This slide shows the transcatheter device closure. Transcatheter device closure is safe and very effective alternative to open surgery, and it's done without opening of the chest or stopping of the heart. what happens that a device is implanted over a large catheter which is passed through a peripheral vessel, usually a vessel in the lower limb, and this device is perfectly snugly fit over the septal defect, causing the closure of the defect. So occlusion is achieved without opening of the chest or open surgery. In rare cases where the spontaneous closure or device closure cannot be achieved up to the age of 3 years, in cases where the defect is large or the margins of the defect are irregular or ragged, surgical closure is indicated. In surgical closure, a pericardial patch is taken, and as you all know that pericardium is the outer covering of the heart, so a part of the pericardial patch is taken and placed over the atrial septal defect, and sutures are applied all around and closure of the defect is achieved. The second defect is ventricular septal defect. There may be large septal defect in any part of the septum between right and left ventricle, or there may be multiple defects, or may be defect at the unusual over or under surface of the septum. So what happened that there would be extra blood back into the right ventricle and right atrium, back in the lungs, and there would be less oxygenated blood supply through the left ventricle to the parts of body. Sign and symptoms: small ventricle septal defects are asymptomatic like atrial septal defect, and again there would be decreased exercise or activity tolerance in kid. There would be increased breathing rate. Feeding would be hampered or troubled, leading to delayed growth or milestones in children. In small holes, no treatment is required, but if the ventricular septal defect is large, multiple, or at unusual places, it is soon closed. And again, a patch of pericardium is taken, placed over the ventricular septal defect, and sutures are applied all around. Sometimes this defect is closed with the artificial material called Dacron patch. The third defect is patent ductus arteriosus. To understand the patent ductus arteriosus, you have to recall your fetal circulation. The patent focus this area. Patent ductus arteriosus is a normal blood vessel which connects the aorta and pulmonary artery in fetus. When the lungs start working, it closes spontaneously. If it doesn't close, what happens? That all the blood from the aortic arch flow back into the pulmonary vessels, and there would be increased pressure built in pulmonary arteries. Sign and symptoms: a bounding, strong and forceful pulse is palpable. Breathing of the kid would be fast, or there would be shortness of breathing, leading to intolerance of exercise and easy tiring. Due to this fast breathing or problem in breathing, child would not be able to feed well, or there would be sweating while feeding, leading ultimately to poor growth. Again, the first investigation is X-ray showing the right heart enlargement, and echocardiography would exactly show the patent ductus patency of arteriosus. Usually it closes spontaneously after a few months of the birth. If it doesn't, catheter based closure has to be done, and very few cases open surgery is required, in which thoracotomy is done, means chest cavity is opened, patent ductus arteriosus is isolated, ligated and divided over here. The next acyanotic congenital heart disease is coarctation of aorta. Coarctation means stenosis or narrowing of aorta. It can occur at any part of aorta, but most commonly affected portion is the descending aorta. You can see in this picture that there is narrowing of the lumen of descending aorta, leading to back pressure of the blood into the aortic arch and proximal aorta. So what happened that there would be abnormally high blood pressure in the arms than in legs because of the increased blood flow in arch of aorta, leading to increased blood supply in the upper part of the body, especially arms. So blood pressure would be increased in arm, and there would be decreased oxygenated blood supply through this stenotic part into the distal part of the body. So the legs and feet would be cold because of the decreased blood supply. Heart murmur can be audible. There would be shortness of breath, especially when child is running or doing some activity. Coarctation of aorta is diagnosed on echocardiography. Very rarely MRI or CT scan is required. As diagnosed, the immediate treatment is required because the blood pressure of child is abnormally high. Most of the time, the stenosis is treated with the balloon dilatation. What happens that again a long catheter is passed through the peripheral vessel beyond the stenotic part of aorta, and over this catheter a balloon is passed and dilated, and dilatation is achieved and blood flow is made sure over this dilatation or dilated balloon. Very rarely the surgical correction is required, means we have to do thoracotomy by opening of the chest. The part of the narrow aorta is exposed, and most of the time it is resected and anastomosis is done. But if this part is resected and sutures are applied over here, there are chances that this narrowing or stenosis would reoccur. So it's better to apply a subclavian patch graft, or sometime artificial material graft is applied, which is called Jotes graft. Follow-up is required because of common recurrence in post-surgical period, and monitoring of blood pressure is mandatory in follow-up. As I told you that the commonest cyanotic heart disease is tetralogy of Fallot. As the name indicates, tetralogy means it's a combination of 4 defects. These 4 defects are, there would be a large ventricular septal defect, overriding aorta on both right and left ventricle. There would be right ventricular obstruction due to stenosis of pulmonary tract, and this right ventricular obstruction would lead to right ventricular hypertrophy. So because of seriousness of this tetralogy of Fallot defects, all these 4 defects would lead to decreased oxygen supply and cyanosis would appear. As in this picture you can appreciate that there is a blue discoloration of the auricular and limbs are blue discoloration. There would be club finger because of persistent decreased oxygenated blood supply to the nails. So the immediate correction is required, and the correction of these defects is done in the cardiopulmonary bypass by stopping the heart circulation. VSD is repaired, overriding is corrected, and pulmonary stenosis is corrected, and right ventricular hypertrophy would eventually over the period of time would get better, ultimately leading to the increased oxygenation in the arterial supply and improvement in the patient's symptoms.